So it is about 5 o'clock in the morning. I just got home from doing some overtime at work, and while I was at work, it snowed. So I have survived my first New York snow. I mean, it wasn't really big snow or anything, like none worse than what I get back home on what we consider bad snow days. But the main problem was the fact that it was raining just after I got into work about 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon. And then it changed into wintry mix as the temperature dropped. Then finally it ended up as snow between about midnight to 4 a.m. when I left. Now, part of the problem is that I don't really know how to drive on ice. I was very terrified. Now, don't get me wrong, I went to Appalachian State University in Boone, North Carolina. So I know a blizzard when I see one, and I know icy roads when there are them, but the problem is that I didn't drive when I went to school at App. I took the bus. You see, at the time I was driving a 92 Volvo sedan we all called the Shiny Squirrel. Long story. Then when I was accepted into App, my parents became very concerned about my car making it all the way to Boone. So I didn't have my car. Plus there was a bunch of added expenses having to pay for gas and a parking spot and all of these other things, and it wasn't really even going to be something that I needed a lot of. I mean, the only time I wish I had it was my junior and senior year when I was living in an apartment, just because I wanted to take my groceries home and not have to worry about taking them on the bus. So that ended up being a problem sometimes. Now, so when I left work, it was just sheer ice everywhere. I almost fell 3 times before getting to my car. Now I have a nice 2003 Honda Element. I call her Nelly the Element. I hope y'all get the pun there. Anyway, I was getting to my car, and I finally get there, and my door is frozen shut. There's snow all up in the handle. I'm not wearing gloves. I don't have a hat. All I've got here is my Columbia fleece, and I'm not entirely sure I'm okay with anything. And then I'm just sitting there thinking, I can't get my car open. Oh God. And then I realized I hadn't unlocked it. And so I unlock my car and I pull it open, and it still makes a nice icy crunch when I do that. And snow starts billowing into my car all over the driver's seat, and I'm just like, shit. And so I climb in, I'm sitting on snow, I can feel it seeping through my jeans, and I'm miserable. And then so I turn on my car, and I try to brush some of the snow off with my windshield wipers, and they're stuck. They're totally stuck. And so I have to crank it. I go back and forth trying to see if I go more intensely it's gonna go, but it doesn't do anything. And then I spray some windshield wiper fluid that sprays some of the ice, that kind of starts melting some of the ice, so it pushes some of the snow out of the way. But then I'm just sitting there, my heater is blasting on my defogger, so it's just blowing hot air all over my windshield. And I'm just sitting there with no lights on in the dark, surrounded by snow, and I am just thinking about how I don't know what I'm going to do because it is late at night and I have to drive. It's hard enough because I'm tired, but there's ice everywhere. And so I finally get up the courage to back out, and then I put my car in reverse and I start wheeling back, and I hear crunch from my back tires. Not something like a sickening crunch or like a bad crunch, really. I just hear this crunching sound, and all I can think is my tires are frozen. I was so concerned with getting in my car and just going that I didn't even stop to think that my tires could have been frozen. And so I'm just terrified, out of my mind, unable to do anything, and I'm just sitting there, halfway pulled out of my parking spot, which, by the way, is 3 or 4 lanes back from the road, or back from the front door, because I was late to work today. So I'm already having a kind of bad day. And I'm just like rolling out, and I'm just like, shit, this is gonna suck. And so I'm just sitting there, unsure of what to do. And then I see a few of my coworkers walk by, and then I'm like, oh crap, I can't look like the weirdo. And so I just pull out the rest of the way and I drive. And like my windshield is only partially defrosted, and I can sort of see the road in front of me. And I finally turn my headlights on all the way, because I only turn them on like that little bit that just turns on the light inside your car, and like a little bit of headlight. And then I turn on my headlights all the way. I get onto the road and I'm driving, and all I can think is, make it home, make it home, make it home. And then I'm driving and things seem all right, and I'm thinking, okay, I'll be fine. This will be okay. This will be a funny story to say later. And hey, I'm surviving my first New York winter. This is how it starts. And it's just gonna get worse from here, so I might as well buckle down and just do all right now. And then all of a sudden, a freaking swarm of snow just hits my windshield from nowhere, just out of nowhere. All of a sudden it hits my windshield, and I swear to God, I'm so happy that I drive alone, because I screamed. I literally screamed. I was terrified, and I'm just losing my mind. And so I immediately stop. I pull over, and I have to take a minute to calm down because my heart's racing. I can't breathe. I'm having a full-blown panic attack in the middle of the snow, in the middle of nowhere in upstate New York. And I'm just like, crap. This is going to break me, isn't it? Takes me about 2 or 3 minutes to gather myself, and then I get back onto the road and I keep driving, and then I finally make it home. And luckily someone had pulled out of a parking spot because that was relatively close to the door. I guess they had to go to work today. And then I just pull in, I sit in my car with the warm air blasting, and then have to prepare myself to walk out into the cold again to get to my door across a frozen parking lot. I step out, I grab all my stuff, I open the door, I step out, and immediately I lose my footing. I grab a hold of the door for dear life. My keys start jangling, I almost lose all of my belongings, and then finally I get my feet under me, and I'm just like, how about I just sleep in my car? How about I just do that tonight? But luckily I was able to get my feet under me. I was able to just walk to the door and I was able to get into my apartment, where I finally turned the heat on. I turn the heat off when I'm not in the apartment to save money. So yeah, that was my experience with New York snow and ice. I hope you guys enjoy my rants. This is going to be a relatively long video, I suppose. And I hope you guys like what I do. And if you want to hear more about a southern girl freaking out over snow, which will probably happen a lot this winter, please subscribe and smash that little bell to get notified when I post a new video. So, yeah.